Rain hisses against the cracked glass as she presses her palm to the window. Her reflection fractured into 100 trembling faces. He said forever, like it was a promise carved in stone, but the echo of his voice still claws at the walls, thin as smoke and twice as cruel. The city below hums with restless light, taxis flashing, strangers laughing, while her heart beats an off-tempo rhythm, a hollow drum of something ending. She remembers his hand slipping from hers, the way silence fell like judgment, how the sky broke open when he walked away. Now every drop that slides down the pane feels like a truth she's tried to bury. Love doesn't die. It just changes shape, into anger, into memory, into something that stings when you breathe. She whispers his name once, quiet enough for the rain to steal it, and for a moment she almost believes the sound of it still belongs to her. But forever is gone, and she gave him what he really meant. Never again. Morning breaks without mercy. The room feels smaller now. The rain gone, but its memory lingering in damp air and swollen silence. Lena moves through the apartment like she's trespassing in someone else's life. The boxes, the photos, the ghosts she hasn't yet decided to throw away. The coffee burns her tongue, bitter and necessary. The phone buzzes once, twice, then stops. His name flashing like a wound reopening. She doesn't answer. Instead, she sits on the cold kitchen floor and watches the sunlight crawl across the tiles, slow as regret. Somewhere beyond these walls, the city hums with beginnings. But here, everything is aftermath. The kind that doesn't scream, only whispers, steady and sharp. For the first time, she feels the shape of being alone. Not absence, but a presence that fills every space he left behind. Outside, the city yawns awake. The clatter of dishes in a diner, bus engines coughing to life, footsteps splashing through puddles. Lena walks aimlessly, coat pulled tight, her hair still damp from the shower she couldn't finish. Every corner looks like memory. The bakery where he used to wait with coffee, the bookstore where they argued about endings. She watches people rush past with their mornings, intact, and wonders when hers will stop feeling like debris. Her reflection in shop windows looks almost whole, almost fine, but always slightly delayed, like her body is still catching up to what her heart already knows. The world hasn't stopped, and that hurts more than she expected. In a quiet corner cafe, Lena stares at her untouched drink. Across from her sits Eli, an old friend with the kind of face that listens before it speaks. He asks nothing at first, only watches her fingers trace circles on the table's surface. When she finally says, "He's gone," it sounds like she's reciting a fact, not mourning it. Eli nods once, slow and steady, as if agreeing with the world's cruel balance. Outside, people laugh. Their voices blur into the hum of passing cars. She envies their ordinary. Eli reaches out, but she flinches before his hand can find hers. "You don't have to talk," he murmurs. "Just breathe." And for a heartbeat, she almost does. Back home, dusk falls like a confession. The city outside glows in amber veins, and Lena sits by the window again. The silence no longer cruel but patient. She reads the letter she never sent, words soaked with what she couldn't say out loud. "I forgave you before you asked." A slow peace settles in, not comfort exactly, but something close. The air tastes of rain that might return. She closes the letter, slides it into the box marked "Keep," and exhales. Somewhere in the distance, sirens fade, and the night begins to hum. Forever might have died, but something else is breathing in its place. Fragile, uncertain, real. The days have learned to pass without incident, but peace is a fragile guest. Lena folds laundry in silence when the phone rings again. This time, no name, just a number she knows too well. The air freezes around her as the tone repeats. Steady, insistent. She lets it ring until it stops, until her pulse stops echoing in her throat. When the silence returns, it feels heavier than before. She picks up the receiver anyway, listening to the quiet on the other end. Only a breath. Faint, deliberate. Then the click of disconnection. Her reflection in the dark window stares back, unreadable. Maybe ghosts don't need doors to come back. Maybe they just need your number. Murder. Sophie. She can't stop thinking about the breath, that tiny, trembling sound like a memory breaking the surface. Sleep doesn't come. Instead, she walks through the old streets, tracing the map of her former life. The bookstore is gone. The bakery closed, but the park still breathes with the same wind. A couple laughs by the fountain where she once cried, the symmetry almost cruel. She sits on a bench and watches them, heart steady but not still. Somewhere inside, something restless begins to stir. Not hope, not yet, but motion. The kind that could be mistaken for healing if it didn't hurt so much. At a small gallery downtown, Lena finds herself standing before a photograph she's never seen but somehow knows. It's his. She recognizes his framing, his light, his obsession with broken things made beautiful. The image shows a cracked mirror catching sunrise. Beneath it, the artist's name, Daniel Hart. The name burns quietly in her chest. The wall label says the exhibition opened last week. He's back in the city. For a moment, she can't breathe. The room blurs with whispers and camera clicks, but all she hears is the echo of that phone call. A breath, deliberate. He knows she's here. Later that night, she returns home to find an envelope slipped beneath her door. No address, no handwriting, just her name, Lena, printed in typewriter ink. Her fingers tremble as she opens it. Inside, one photograph. The same cracked mirror, but this time, her reflection is in it, captured from behind at the gallery. A single line scrawled on the back. You still look for the light. The world seems to tilt. She checks the hallway, empty. But the faint scent of rain lingers, and her own reflection in the glass door trembles with her heartbeat. She stays awake until dawn, the photograph pinned to the wall, daring it to move. When the first light spills in, it softens her fear but doesn't erase it. She picks up her camera, dusty, unused since before he left, and stares through the lens. The world sharpens again, edges returning where they'd blurred. Maybe this is what he wanted, to pull her back into the story she'd buried. But she's not the same woman who believed in forever. Not anymore. She lowers the camera, exhales and whispers into the empty room. If you're coming back, you'd better mean it this time. Outside, the morning light cuts through the window, slicing the shadows clean. The city feels different today. Sharper, as if it knows something she doesn't. Lena walks through the crowd with her collar raised, the envelope folded in her pocket like a pulse. At a red light, she senses it, the unmistakable gravity of someone watching. She turns, and there he is across the street. Daniel, eyes locked on hers through the rush of strangers. The years collapse in an instant. The light changes. The crowd moves. He doesn't. Neither does she. For one heartbeat. The noise fades. No engines, no footsteps. Just two people standing in the wreckage of everything they promised. When she blinks, he's gone. Swallowed by the city that never forgives. She doesn't remember deciding to follow him, but her feet move anyway. The city narrows, alleys twisting into places she once feared to go. When she finally turns a corner, he's there, waiting, leaning against a brick wall that glows red in the sunset. You got my picture, he says. His voice hasn't changed. The same low hum that could turn apology into art. Lena's chest tightens. You shouldn't have sent it. He smiles faintly. You always said the truth deserves to be seen. She looks away, unable to bear the familiarity of it all. The space between them feels alive, like a wound remembering how it opened. They walk together without planning to, the city unfolding around them like a confession. Daniel talks about the years he spent chasing stories in foreign cities, about photographs that sold, but meant nothing. Lena listens, silent, eyes fixed ahead. When he asks about her, she simply says, "I survived." He nods as though that's all he needed to hear. They stop outside the cafe they once shared. The same cracked sign, the same smell of burnt sugar. He hesitates, but she keeps walking. Love used to mean staying. Now it means knowing when not to. Back at her apartment, she opens the door before realizing he's followed her. He stands in the doorway. The same quiet arrogance that once made her feel safe. "I never stopped thinking about you," he says softly. She laughs. One sharp sound that breaks the air in two. "You stopped calling." That counts. He steps inside, eyes searching the familiar space, landing on the photograph pinned to her wall. "You kept it," he murmurs. She looks at it too, then at him. "I keep reminders of what not to repeat." The silence that follows is heavy, but neither leaves. Outside, thunder murmurs in the distance, an echo of old storms. Lightning flashes. The room seems to breathe with it. Daniel steps closer, his voice quiet, almost tender. "You think I came back for redemption?" She looks up, her face caught between pain and disbelief. "No," she says. "You came back because guilt gets lonely." The words hang there, alive and merciless. He doesn't deny it. Instead, he picks up her camera from the table and lifts it toward her. "Then let's make it honest," he whispers. The shutter clicks, a single photograph of a woman who finally stopped pretending to wait. The thunder follows, deep and distant, as she turns away, leaving him with the image and the silence he created. Morning returns like an uninvited guest, soft but watchful. The storm has passed, yet the air still hums with what was said and what wasn't. Lena stands at the kitchen counter, staring at the photograph Daniel took of her. It sits developed on the table. Raw, honest, unflattering, real. She hates how much truth it holds. There's no sadness, no beauty, only the quiet defiance of someone who's done being broken. She tucks it into the drawer with the letter, as if sealing both the wound and its memory. Outside, the street begins to stir. Life moves, indifferent as ever. But something has shifted inside her. Not closure, not peace, but the first small flicker of freedom. Daniel returns that afternoon. He doesn't knock this time. The door creaks open and the smell of rain still lingers from the night before. Lena doesn't look up. "You shouldn't be here," she says. He sets the camera on the table. "I came to give this back." She glances at it, then at him. "You keep taking things that aren't yours." His smile fades, and you keep pretending you don't miss them. The silence that follows is sharper than anger. He steps closer, eyes tired, shoulders bent. "I never meant to hurt you," she nods once. "But you did. And that's the only thing that still feels true." He doesn't leave right away. Instead, he wanders the apartment, touching the spines of books, tracing the outlines of photographs he once helped hang. "You kept everything," he murmurs. Lena watches him, her tone measured. Keeping isn't the same as wanting. He turns to face her, the weight of years etched across his features. "You used to believe in forgiveness." She shakes her head. "No. I believed in second chances. You burned through all of them." The words land hard but true. Daniel exhales, a man realizing that redemption doesn't always wait at the same door twice. They end up on the balcony, the city sprawling beneath them, half drowned in twilight. For the first time, neither speaks. The silence feels like truth, heavier, but kinder than words. Daniel leans on the railing, his gaze distant. "You were always better at letting go," he says. She answers softly, "No, I was just better at pretending I had." A faint wind rises, lifting her hair, carrying the smell of coming rain. He looks at her as if memorizing the shape of what he's lost. She turns away, eyes fixed on the horizon that doesn't stop for anyone. Later that night, Daniel finally leaves. The door closes with a soft thud. Not an ending, but a surrender. Lena sits in the dark, the city's glow spilling across her floor like a quiet apology. She doesn't cry this time. Instead, she breathes. The camera still sits where he left it. She picks it up, holds it steady, and turns the lens toward herself. One flash, one image. A woman alone, unafraid, unbound. She looks at the photo as it develops, and for the first time sees herself without him in the frame. The silence feels clean. The night, hers again. Weeks pass, and the apartment begins to look like a new place. Lighter, less haunted. Lena repaints the walls, trades the heavy curtains for linen ones that let the morning in. There are plants now, small green proofs of persistence. She still wakes early, still makes coffee for two, but the second cup stays empty. Not sad, just honest. Sometimes she catches herself smiling at nothing, at the quiet rhythm of a life she's starting to belong to again. Healing doesn't announce itself. It arrives disguised as habit. And for the first time in years, she feels like the story is hers to write, not something she was written into. At the local market, Lena moves between stalls like a woman relearning how to exist among people. The chatter, the scent of bread and oranges, the bright clash of voices. It all feels louder than memory, but good. She buys flowers for herself, something she never used to do. The vendor, a kind-faced woman, wraps them in paper and says, "Someone's lucky." Lena smiles. They are, as she walks home, the petals brush against her wrist, delicate and sure. She realizes how long it's been since she held something just because it was beautiful, not because it reminded her of someone. In the small gallery downtown, her photographs hang for the first time. She watches strangers stop to look, to linger. Her work, quiet corners, reflections, soft light through broken things, tells the story she once tried to hide. Eli is there, smiling from the back of the room, pride in his eyes. "You did it," he says. She laughs softly. "I finally told the truth." The applause comes gentle, brief, but enough to echo inside her longer than she expected. She doesn't think of Daniel, not as absence, not as ache, only as a chapter that finally closed itself. After the exhibit, Lena walks home alone beneath the fading city lights. There's no rush, no ache, no ghost waiting at the next corner. Just the rhythm of her footsteps and the hum of night. She pauses by the fountain, the same one from before, and tosses a coin into the water. No wish this time, only gratitude. The ripples stretch outward, distorting the reflection of the sky until it looks like it's breathing. Maybe it is. Maybe she is. The world feels big again. And for once, she doesn't feel small inside it. Back in her apartment, Lena hangs a new photograph on the wall. One she took just this morning. It's a window streaked with sunlight. Open curtains billowing. No faces, no ghosts. Just light. She steps back to look at it and smiles. This is what remains. Not the ruin, but what grew in its cracks. Outside, the first rain in weeks begins to fall, gentle and clean. She opens the window and lets it in. For the first time, the sound doesn't remind her of him. It sounds like living. The rain falls steady, unhurried, the kind that doesn't demand shelter, only acceptance. Lena wakes to its sound and finds herself smiling. She makes tea, opens her journal, and begins to write. Not about Daniel, not about loss, about mornings that smell like jasmine and streets that hum with possibility. Each word feels lighter than the last, like exhaling what she's been holding too long. Outside, the city glows soft under gray light, and for the first time, she doesn't feel like she's watching from behind glass. She belongs in it, imperfect, unafraid, real. That afternoon, she visits her mother's old house for the first time in years. Dust, silence, and the faint smell of lavender greet her. In the attic, she finds boxes filled with her childhood, photographs, war notebooks, tiny sketches of the sky. Among them, a letter addressed in her own handwriting but never sent. She unfolds it carefully. To the woman I'll become. Stop mistaking love for rescue. The words strike her like truth. Finally spoken aloud, she smiles through tears. Maybe she had always known. Maybe the future had only been waiting for her to catch up. Later, she walks through the garden behind the house. Overgrown, wild, beautiful in its chaos. The soil smells like rain and memory. She kneels and begins pulling weeds, her hands dirty, her breath heavy. There's a rhythm to it, a peace she didn't know she'd been craving. The world around her feels alive again, not as a stage for heartbreak, but as a promise of ordinary days worth keeping. She looks up, sees sunlight breaking through the clouds and whispers, "I'm still here." It's not a declaration. It's a homecoming. That evening, she receives a message from Daniel. Just 3 words. I saw it. Her exhibit. No questions, no plea, no apology, just acknowledgement. She stares at the screen, then sets the phone down. For a moment, her heartbeat quickens, an echo of old patterns. Then it slows. She types nothing. There's nothing left to say. That silence can't hold better. Outside her window, the rain has stopped, and the city exhales light. Sometimes the story ends not with forgiveness or reunion, but with peace. And peace, she realizes, is its own kind of forever. Before bed, she hangs her newest photograph. A simple shot of rain falling on an open street. No people, no faces, just motion and light. It captures everything she's learned. That endings aren't failures, and solitude isn't emptiness. She turns off the lamp and lies down, the sound of distant thunder fading into calm. Tomorrow will come like all things do, unpromised, unafraid. And when it does, she'll meet it not as the woman he left, but as the one she became because he did. Morning rises soft and golden, spilling through the window like forgiveness. Lena wakes to it without alarm, her heartbeat unhurried. The city hums outside, distant horns, the murmur of life in motion. And for once, she doesn't brace herself against the day. She steps onto the balcony, tea in hand, and breathes in the damp, clean air after last night's rain. Somewhere below, a violin plays from a nearby street corner, the melody fragile but alive. She closes her eyes and listens. This is what survival sounds like. Not silence, not sorrow, but music finding its way back through the cracks. Later that day, Lena meets Eli for lunch. They sit outside a small cafe, sunlight flickering through tree branches. "You look different," he says. She laughs, surprised by how genuine it sounds. "Maybe I finally stopped fighting the past," he nods. "It suits you." They talk about art, about travel, about nothing at all. When they part, he squeezes her shoulder lightly, a gesture without promise, without weight, just kindness. It lingers, not as a spark, but as warmth. She realizes love can exist without demand, that sometimes it's enough for someone to simply witness your peace. That evening, Lena returns to the gallery alone. Most of her photos have been taken down. The exhibit is over. Yet one remains, the cracked mirror, Daniel's image. She stands before it, studying the fracture lines that once felt like her own. Now she only sees light, how it bounces, multiplies, survives the damage. She touches the frame gently, whispers, "Thank you," and walks away without looking back. Outside, the last of the sunset fades into violet, and for the first time, she feels no shadow following, just her own footsteps, steady and sure. As night falls, Lena walks along the waterfront. The wind carries the scent of salt and rain, the light stretching long over the waves. She stops where the pier meets the edge of the water and watches the city shimmer in reflection. Her camera hangs at her side, unused. For once, she doesn't need to capture the moment. Living it is enough, she whispers softly, almost playfully. Never again. But this time it's not bitterness, it's promise. The horizon opens wide before her, the future vast and unframed. Dawn again. The apartment, the city, her life, all still here, but different now. She sits by the open window, camera on her lap, and takes one last photograph. The light itself, spilling across her face, unshaped, unclaimed. Somewhere inside, she knows she'll love again. But not like before. Not from emptiness, not from need. From fullness, from choice. The shot clicks. The light lingers. And as the city wakes, Lena does too. No longer the woman who lost everything, but the one who learned what was worth keeping. The frame holds nothing but light. And somehow, that's everything.